your heart racing? Something else racing?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who's B, it's your girl KylerB coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Love Island USA Season 7, Episode 24. This is the heart rate challenge. A lot of things happen after the Casa Amor recoupling. There is 20 people in this villa. Okay, I'm going to give you the highlights on the importance of this episode, alright? There is just 20 people in this villa. Too many dynamics, too many things going on. Like, yeah, because we had a whole stuff happening before we even got to the heart rate challenge. So let me start this up. Let me start it up. So coupling happened, whatever. So Alondra, Sierra, and Chelley, they're basically the trio in that villa for the girls. Because they, with the Ed Identity crew, that was basically the trio, the girls of the Ed Identity crew. So they're really tight. So Alondra, she sat them down. She basically told both Chelley and Sierra about how Nick and her, had a kiss on Soul Ties and basically explored a connection.
Okay, we kissed. Safe to say there is no fucking spark, and it is, we both genuinely feel like that. Afterwards, I felt so bad. I'm like, ew, why did you do that? But it's like, you never knew. You never know if something's there if you don't do it. Of course. So
Chelley and Sierra are like kind of gagged. Sierra, she basically kind of like brushed it off, like, she's okay. They all basically was like, it was all cool. They're still girls. They still, they good. Nick and Sierra had a chat and basically like, oh, that's his girl, like, she wants to jump his bones, whatever. They still haven't closed it off though, but that's their conversation at the dock. The dock is their favorite spot. You got the new cast of guys coming in, basically like they don't know anywhere what's around here, like they don't know, they need somebody to show them the lay of the land, basically back at the villa. Elon basically saying like Nick is like his younger twin brother essentially, like they look really alike, all that, so on and so forth. Chris, he's basically saying like he's in a couple of Huda, but he's still want to get to know Chelley as well, like, so then we have a Chelley and Ace chat. So they like, happy to be reunited. They feel so good. They kissing each other, whatever.
Thank you for not choosing the former pro basketball player in Morse code.
So, Ace is like, tell me about Chris, like, tell me about your connection, And, she said, they kind of very similar. Her, Ace and him was kind of very similar, and Ace is like, there's nobody like me. Like, there's nobody like me. Like, I'm on a different playing field here. Like, hello. So then obviously she's like, yeah, there's no one like you. And obviously he was like saying like, okay, where do we go from here? Are you still exploring? Or like, what's going on here? So she's like, we're still exploring. And, he was just like, okay, so is he ready to go to war for you? Like, because he don't play about Chelley. Like, I feel like Ace is definitely locked in on Chelley. I mean, this episode made it more clear and evident than before. Like, he's very locked in on her. But she still wants to, like, have that option. Because Chris is still in the villa, she's giving that option to still explore until she doesn't want to anymore. But I'm just like, you know what? You do you, Chelley. So obviously she's saying that her connection with Ace is stronger. Of course, she doesn't regret her decision of recoupling with Ace or going back to Ace. But, since Chris is still in the villa, she's going to still keep chats if he still wants to have chats with her, as, it is what it is, because they still had something going on in Casa. So, is what it is. So, but I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, she's always gonna be picking Ace over Chris at this point in time. So Zach and Amaya, they have a chat. They're, they nice and good. They feel like, that's the person for Amaya. I mean, after, the two couples that she was in previously, I think Zach is for her. Zach is the guy. I mean, if he doesn't mess it up, that's the guy for her. TJ and Iris had a chat as well. You know, she just said that Zach C kind of wasn't really it. You know, her and TJ kind of like have that spark or whatever going. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Huda and Chris had a chat. You know, she basically talked to him about, you know, after her lease is up and, you know, she's gonna probably move to LA. He said that he only lives in LA for like a month at a time, and so he lives with family, so he doesn't really have a spot in LA. He also said, you know, to comfort her, basically, like, you know, he doesn't care that she's a mother. Like, that doesn't bother him, that doesn't faze him. Like, I'm okay with it. Because, you know, I feel like, you know, since I was already out in the open, there's no reason to keep hiding it. I mean, I think the cast of people already saw the episode, so they know she's a parent. So he was just like, that doesn't bother me. So she kind of feels like very reassured that, like, you know, since he doesn't care about that, like, you know, that's good. That's like a really good step. Like, he's a man. Anyways, they all go to bed, and while they went to bed, Nick and Sierra had a 40-second situation happening going on. And I was just like, oh, okay. So we had Ed and Eddie, the Stooges really in the villa. They're calling themselves the Stooges, but they're really Ed and Eddie. Ed and Eddie basically just talking about their couplings and like how they feeling about going on with it. Nick went first. He basically said about his 40-second situation.
She told me she wanted to like jump my bones last night. Best 40 seconds ever.
This time you stepped it up.
But it was still subpar.
Taylor basically talking about how, oh, he basically does not regret his decision with Clark. Like, he is fine with that decision. There's no second guessing. But because Alandra is still in the villa, he feels like he's going to be in the triangle. But it's just like, how are you going to be in triangle if you don't regret your decision? You're not feeling some type of way. But he's like, oh, I'm still open to, like, you know, exploring Alandra. Like, no, you made your bed, lie in it. Like, what do you mean you going back to Alandra if you're still, no. Like, come on now. You, like, if you go with Alandra, only making, you know, good with Clark, only making breakfast for Clark, all that, this, that, and the third. Just, like, leave it at that. Like, it is what it is. Ace, he basically saying, like, you know, what he's basically saying, which I feel like his point is actually valid. He's saying that he kind of would like to close it off with Chelley, but because Chris is in here, he's not gonna do that, you know, to like, just because like, oh, he's jealous or that he doesn't want her to talk to anybody else. He's gonna show her like, hey, he likes her that much. Like, he's gonna show her with his actions that like he's really all about her.
She would lock in if I told her I wanted to close things off. But I don't want to pull the move of wanting to close things off just because the person she formed the connection with is in the house back again, and like I just want to make sure she don't talk to nobody else.
So he's saying like he's not gonna close it off like and try to like, you know, force her hand. She wants her to make that decision on her own. So like if she wants to close it off, she's gonna have to like, you know, kind of like speak about that so he doesn't like force her hand, or like something has to happen so that, you know, she's off of Chris and like she's really focusing on, you know, Ace all the time. So
It just got me fired up to, you know, want to step it up around here to make sure she understands I'm all about her and I really am interested in her and, you know, seeing life outside the villa together. You know, I'm going to give it my all, leave it all out on the floor. And if she's still unsure, then, you know, then I'll know how to move from there.
in this episode, later on, you know, we had Ace and Chris also had a chat, you know, basically man to man, like, you know, he's still gonna go about exploring Chelley, you know, he doesn't want them to have like, you know, big competition, but that side by side of Ace and Chris walking together, oh, they did Ace dirty, because like the side by side, it was just like, this is like they were walking like, yo, that they did that man dirty. And so back to the daytime, you know, guys making breakfast. You know, Sierra basically says how Elon made her breakfast and cut the pancakes in the sea. So since he heard about the sea thing, he cut the pancake in the sea and gave it to Sierra first. So then Elon, he made breakfast and he brought it up to, you know, Sierra. But it's just like, you know, Nick's always petty, like with the tea situation and now with the, you know, the sea pancakes, which is like, okay, like, so when Elon brought the breakfast, you know, she was already full off of Nick's breakfast, so she didn't eat his breakfast, but she did appreciate his breakfast. So, you know, we have that. So then Sierra and Iris are having a chat, and Sierra just like, you know, about the whole Alandra, like she's like your best friend in the villa, basically the person that you cried to, all that, is getting to know your man, and you're okay with it, you know, and you had, you know, relations with this guy too, twice now. So it's just kind of like, okay, you're cool. Like, she's basically saying, like, you know, you're better than me, because if that was me in that situation, basically that's what Iris is saying, you know, it would have been a bit different story if, you know, your friend in the villa is basically exploring or trying to get that connection with the person that, you know, you're with.
I mean, I guess cool, like, you're a cool girl, but, like, that's fucking crazy.
Do you think it's crazy?
I'm not trying to do that, but you're in a villa, you have sex, and then your best friend and the guy that you like, that you made out with, goes, let's kiss now and see if there's anything there. No, fuck no. You've been inside me, you freak.
So basically, you know, Sierra's just like, you know, it didn't really bother her. And I'm just like, you know what? Until movie night will be probably a different thing. She probably have to see it in 4K to see how that kiss went about, for her to realize, oh, it was kind of like that deep. It wasn't really that deep for both of them. Like, okay. Because you got Landry basically saying there was no spark. But it's just like, all right. You will see the spark on 4K TV come movie night. You know, Chelley and Ace have a chat. And, you know, Ace basically was just like saying all about, you know, he doesn't regret his decision again with the recoupling. She doesn't regret her decision. Like, he basically says that he will pick Chelley a million times over. Like, okay, like, hello.
Do you regret your decision?
No, not at all. I mean, do you regret your decisions in this one?
No.
Oh.
No. I'll pick you a million times over.
He will pick Chelley a million times over. Hear that? Like, he kind of ate that up. Like, I'm like, if Chelley can basically lock in come Monday, Tuesday, oh, my people, my clients, and all the scammer chat. Like, what scammers over here doing all this? Like, Chelley really off script if that's supposed to be a scammer chat, because this man had to fight for his life. He's basically saying to Taylor, like, he's not gonna be cool off of that just because she wants to explore. He can just basically up his game. Like, hello? Chelley got it like that in that villa. She got two men basically still saying, like, I still want to explore you. Like, hello? He's basically saying, like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, put the fire in me. I'm gonna up my game, like, you know, see what I can do more, so she can realize, like, just, you know, pick me, choose. Like, basically that's what Ace trying to be like, you know, for Chelley to pick him. So they have a chat, you know, it's really sweet. And I was like, I feel like in that decision, that little chat, you know, Chelley's kind of leaning more to, like, you know, closing things off with Ace. Later on, they get a text that there's going to be a heart rate challenge. So there's 20 people in that villa. So the heart rate challenge is really a couple's heart rate challenge, which are just like, I understand having 10 girls come out one by one, do their thing, and then 10 guys come out one by one, do their thing, would be a long time and long night. So they had to double it down and made it just 10 couples or 10 sets of people come out and do their thing. The highlights for the challenge is that Sierra, she was basically a hot commodity. All the girls basically skipped over, you know, Nick, and were just like, we're gonna kiss Sierra. Like, what? Like, hello? Nick had no action. When Chelley and Ace came out, Chelley, she did her thing with Chris, came back for seconds. Like, okay, she gave TJ a peep show. Like, hello? You know, Ace, I think he was kissing Clark. He was kissing somebody else too. Like, he was doing his thing too. And yeah. So then when it was Huda and Chris's turn, Huda, she was doing her big one. Doing her big one. Okay, Huda, she pulled Chris, and, you know, she pulled Ace. Chris pulled Chelley, and, you know, they were kissing and whatnot. But then Huda turned around and started, you know, jumping. And it was just like, they even show you a clip before they cut it. She turned, because whatever she did to Chris, she did to Ace.
My friend, as my girl, that's some crazy shit. I was so disrespectful. Like, I wouldn't do no shit like that.
And the thing is that because she's Chelley's girl, she should have known better to not basically put her butt in Ace's face like that. So after that happened, everybody was like, oh, this was more than a challenge. Even Messy Pepe was like, that seemed a little bit more than a challenge.
It's just a challenge.
Really?
No, it's not just a challenge.
It's just a challenge.
That looked a little more than just a challenge.
Okay? So Chelley was upset. She was just like, I'll talk to you later. So everybody's like, you know, it's a challenge. You know, she shouldn't be upset. But the thing is, what you gotta understand is that when Huda was with Jeremiah, before they even closed off anything, it was week 1, week 2. She did not want no girl to kiss Jeremiah and they weren't closed off. She was acting mad funny. So the fact that now that, you know, her and, you know, she knows that she's, you know, good friends in the Ville with Chelley and whatnot, and her and Ace are basically have like a strong connection, for her to kind of do that kind of felt like a disrespect for Chelley. So granted, Chelley is, you know, right for feeling the way that she's feeling. Granted, a lot of people in that challenge did a lot of things, because Chelley and Ace, they had a little 3-way kiss with Amaya. It was kind of funny because you had Amaya basically saying, you know, oh, no boundaries now. And then you got Ace basically saying, oh, you know, okay, babe, like using the little pet names things. So it was kind of funny. Like, they're cool, they're cordial, like there's no bad blood between them. But, you know, they did a little 3-way kiss, which was crazy. And then later on, Sierra and Nick went Chelley because they were like, oh, since Nick never kissed Chelley like in a challenge or anything like that, that was like his dream, or that's what he wanted to do. So they pulled Chelley, gave Chelley a 3-way kiss too, which was crazy work. Alandria, she pulled Taylor in her heart rate challenge. Adrina and Pepe, I guess they have something going on because, you know, Brian wasn't giving her that much, so she likes Pepe. Then, you know what, okay, Adrina, you and Pepe can get the ball rolling. Get the ball rolling. So the results are Chris raised Chelley's, Chelley raised Chris. Huda is the one who raised Ace's heart rate, which, I mean, granted, if you put her butt in his face, like, what you want to happen. Alandria raised Taylor's, you know, the highlights. I think Elan raised Sierra's. So, and the winners were Nick and Sierra, who raised the most heart rates. So at the end, you had Huda, Amaya, and Drina chatting. And, you know, Huda's just like, I think Chelley's mad at me because of the challenge. Like, you know, when I went, she was just like, we talk later. And, you know, she already knew she messed up. So they're like, isn't that the challenge? Like, isn't I supposed to, like, do things in a challenge? But, you know, Maya's trying to, like, calm her down. Like, you know, it's okay. Just speak to Chelley later on. Don't let her go to sleep angry. So Chelley's talking to Sierra and Alandria. And I forgot who, I think Iris as well. So they were just like, you know, did Huda, like, am I tripping or not? Like, did Huda not go too much or what?
I don't know if I'm tripping.
I already know what you're about to say, and you're absolutely not tripping.
The whole makeout session, which I'm like, I don't know if it's because before, like, maybe when her and Ace kissed.
It also just, like, out of everyone, why Ace?
But it's like, exactly. Yeah. And so that's why, like, I'm annoyed, too, because I just feel like there's not a certain level of respect, like, that's there, especially for her being the type of person who tried to set all these boundaries when it came to Jeremiah and this and that. You didn't return none of that favor whatsoever. I don't feel like I'm...
So Sierra was like, no, I know what you're talking about, and Huda did go too much. And basically, she was just like, she also put up the fact that Huda basically tried to say how she brought Chris back for Chelley. But that's not the case, because we already saw how JD and Huda had a chat. Basically, it was just like, JD's not the one for her, and basically kind of deaded that with JD. So she basically was like, okay, you know, her and Chris was having a chat, and she likes Chris too. So she was like, okay, great. If you like Chris, you know, great. You know, speak to Chris, get to know Chris. You know, don't say it was for me, because you also want to get to know Chris. Your relationship or your little connection with JD got dead, so you had nobody else in Castlemore to really pull back, to be honest. So for her to kind of like say that, oh, I brought Chris back for you, was kind of like, no, don't say that. So I think that was something also that, you know, was like getting Chelley upset. And then also what she did in the challenge, because she's like, you know, when you were near a couple, you wanted us to be respectful of you and all that stuff. And if I'm your girl and we're good friends in here, why are you disrespecting me knowing we have like hard feelings in here? Like, so I understand where Chelley's coming from. Granted, I feel like this is just going to catalyst her to potentially lock it off with Ace, or, you know, basically be like, you know, her and Ace are closed off sooner than later. But she's really upset with Huda. I mean, granted, everybody in that challenge did what they did. You know, the challenge was just kind of messed up. Like, the entire season from the start was kind of like, yo, calm down. Like, we need to have, like, some people need to have some more dates. Like, let's start to find the love on the Love Island. Like, no more of this, you know, like please. Like, 20 people having a heart rate challenge. Like, what happened to 6 couples? Like, no more of this, please. But anyways, that was the episode. We didn't even have a tomorrow's night. Like, that's how deep it was. That was how deep it was. But anyways, I'm gonna back Chelley because obviously from day one she was, you know, with Huda with all her situations. So she just wanted Huda to repay the favor. Okay, she just wanted Huda to pay her favor when it's her time in a challenge. You know, when she's in a couple that's, you know, going pretty seriously, you know? So I understand where Chelley's coming from, you know? So just let her land. I feel like this is gonna get cleared up sooner than later. I think, you know, Huda knows that she's in the troubles because Andrina coming back downstairs after her chat with Huda and basically snitching on Huda about the conversation is quite funny because they know who runs that villa, and who runs that villa is Chelley. Okay, so anyway guys, that was episode 24, and if you guys like the video, like comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns, and you guys subscribe to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.